to this point, the community in general has been very opposed to allowing GMOs to be grown here. So that's where I'm with the community.
The Iraq and Afghanistan wars. Just what is your opinion there?
Well, being a veteran of the Vietnam War myself, I feel a great deal of solidarity with the veterans there, and I personally feel like President Obama had these problems dumped in his lap, and I don't agree with everything that he has done or is doing there, but I only can hope that he gets it straightened out, because I don't have the answer. And again, I just am not prepared to start calling Afghanistan Obama's war, because he didn't start it, and he certainly didn't start Iraq. My wife and I talk about a lot of things, and we don't talk about this often, but to summarize is, I told her the other day, I feel like if we had never gone into Iraq, Afghanistan would be finished now. It has both taken our attention and our resources away from Afghanistan. Iraq has, as well as fueled more dislike for us that has brought more fighters to Afghanistan.
That's a good answer. Now, especially recently with the news, this is going to be a big one in Puna. Marijuana, the sacred sacrament. Do you think, on a scale of marijuana, it makes kids into career criminals, or marijuana, it's like not even dangerous and stuff?
Well,
where do you stand?
My perspective on marijuana comes from a few directions, and one of them is having grown up on a tobacco farm. Okay, and having worked in tobacco that at that time was subsidized by the federal government, having a former tobacco user. I try to look at it like that. There is no evidence that I've seen that suggests that it makes children career criminals. I think that is really quite a lot of hype. We know that if you smoke tobacco, we know that if you take too many aspirin, it will affect your health. Okay, so I'm not quite prepared to say that cannabis could never affect your health either. Okay, let's say aspirin or too much cough syrup will.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to see our community have a mature discussion. I know a couple of resolutions have gone to council. I didn't feel like they were structured and written in such a way that it would really bring about that mature discussion, and it hasn't. I feel one of the main outcomes of that is it's really lost credibility for the council, and I think we'll add in some other emotional resolutions. So I think it's hurt the legislative tool of council resolutions the way they've been used.
So you think that the ones brought, I actually went to that county council meeting, and so you think that was just inadequate, the whole resolution that was brought was inadequate. Would you be interested in redrafting one? Is that a priority at all?
It's not a priority for me to redraft a resolution, and I have made a commitment that I want to see the council focus on a lot of issues that they need to have an impact on, that they can have an impact on, and many of them, no one else, only the council will be working on them. Regarding the cannabis issue, in 08, the voters of Hawaii County voted by just over 53% for the lowest law enforcement priority ordinance that says that personal adult use of cannabis will be the lowest priority for law enforcement. There are some provisions in that ordinance that still have not been implemented, in particular a community oversight process. I'd be very, very interested in implementing that and making sure it goes ahead. Another component of the ordinance that needs continuous watch is that the council will not appropriate nor accept any funds that is inconsistent with the ordinance. And as a council member, I want to see the council doing the right thing there and doing what the ordinance says. As far as decriminalization, which I mean nothing would be wrong with it, or legalization where it might be restricted in use or taxed, ultimately the state and or federal governments will be making those determinations. But we do have something on the books in terms of the lowest law enforcement priority that needs to follow through because it was voted by a sound majority.
Right.
I hope I can get 53% of the vote, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right. All right. Did you see the newspaper? I think about 2 days ago. I think it was Kelly Greenwell was saying how he wants full sunshine laws, basically full transparency when it comes to county council. There was a whole debacle a little while ago regarding the sunshine laws. How do you feel about just the transparency involved with the county council? You think it's adequate? You think there's loopholes? Needs to be changed? Good as it is?
I haven't had a chance to read Mr. Greenwell's resolution. I've been very busy painting campaign signs the last few days.
Right.
But as I understand, he's wanting to weaken the Sunshine Law.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. And I'm very opposed to that. Last year, on June 16th, the council had a leadership reorganization. And in the lead up to that, in the days leading up to it, it became very obvious that many of the council members had gone outside their bounds of transparency, and they had been really talking out of the public eye and making decisions without the public knowing what they were doing. That was on June 16th that the council was scheduled to meet. On June 15th, the day before, I contacted the State of Hawaii Office of Information Practices and asked if they investigate that. Afterwards, a few days later, the West Hawaii Today filed a suit. Well, based upon their suit, they went to court. Based upon my complaint, the Office of Information Practices did determine that the Sunshine Law had been violated.
So wait a second, just real quick. So you were the one that kind of got the ball rolling on this thing?
I was the first one to file a complaint.
Wow.
I did not go to court as West Hawaii Today did.
I didn't know that.
Because they could afford to get a lawyer. But yeah, I filed a complaint on June 15th because even before the meeting, I could see what was being said in the press. One particular council member says, well, I think I spoke with 4 other members on this, and the law explicitly says that you cannot do that. That you can't talk with as many as a quorum on an issue outside of a public noticed meeting. So I'm very supportive of keeping the sunshine shining on all the council's transactions and all their decision making. If I was sitting on the council, and from what I know now about Mr. Greenwell's resolution, if I was sitting on the council, I could not support it because it is talking about weakening the Sunshine Law, and we need to make sure that the public is able to listen, that the council's actions fall under public scrutiny, and that we have real participation by the public.
But yeah, thanks for clearing that up. That's really important. Little off topic from that, homosexual people, gay people, from the spectrum of, yeah, they're people just like us, they deserve rights just like us, or, yeah, they're people like us, but, what do you think?
I've been happily married to my wife for 34 years, okay? And having grown up in a very conservative place in Kentucky, I grew up with a lot of the same sort of perceptions of homosexuality that are expressed by people who don't like gay people. It's the only way to put that. Being a professional and getting out in the world, I've had a chance to meet people that had different lifestyles. And I cannot see any reason that the community in any form of government or whatever needs to be bothering people if they choose, or they feel that is their orientation. I really feel like if they're not hurting me or you or anyone else, and they're consenting adults, why does the government need to bother them? As I explained to a good friend of mine whose daughter is lesbian, I said, I really don't understand, but then I don't really need to because it's none of my business.
Well said. Well said. Yes. Well, I think that just about does it. Could you go ahead and remind everyone when they gotta get up and vote for this very important upcoming election?
The primary election is September 18th. I do want to bring to your attention that you can vote absentee for up to 1 month ahead of time. Mail-in absentee, or the election office has what they call a walk-in absentee, where you can go into the central elections office, sign your name, and go ahead and vote. And so I very much encourage people that maybe they don't want to have to fight the lines the day of the election, or they think they're going to be doing something else, or they're not sure. Take the first opportunity you can. Right. Go ahead and vote absentee sometime between August 18 and September 18. But whatever you do, please vote.
And, one thing this just reminded me, why this is so important, just in case you may not be paying attention to the county council type stuff. Hopefully I can cover in greater detail later. There was a pretty big fight going on to allow clean elections to happen. It almost didn't pass, and then it did pass, and, I have one here actually, the Fair Elections Now, the HR 1826, which was, we got Abercrombie and Hirono to go for it. But there's a background about a push to finally get this to come in. So I just think it's really important that we show support that, yes, we understand why it's important that people are beholden to the people and not necessarily beholden to who their campaign contribution donors are. And this is small. We're starting very small here with county council, but there's already movements here like changecongress.org. That's a big one where they want to move this sort of process all the way up to electing Congress people. So let's get out there and vote, even if it's a kind of a smaller election, to show support for what is behind this particular election, for sure. Well, Dr. James Weatherford, we want to thank you for being on this video.
Thank you.
Big time.
All right. Thank you a lot.